So, if you're currently in the UK, you have experienced a winter wonderland about a month too late. It's going to be an inconvenience, but well, we'll be ready, surely, hopefully. How are we all doing, everybody? So, back with another video, and I thought today I'd talk about a topic that recently come into the news, and that is the description of a new species of this fella here, the one-eating lobster. You're lucky, because it's hard for me to get lobster. Costs quite a bit, yeah. Carinodens, everybody, Carinodens. So, what exactly is a Carinodens? So, Carinodens is a small mosasaurian mosasaur that's known from the late Cretaceous period, about 70 to 66 million years ago. So, unfortunately, this cute little boy here, he got by the asteroid, yeah. Can't be helped. Even though it's quite a small mosasaur in a very big world full of very big mosasaurs, it actually has quite a wide distribution, being known from Europe, parts of Asia, North Africa, and even down to South America and Brazil. So the name Carinodens actually means keeled tooth, and that's in reference to the prominent carinae that you see on some species of Carinodens. And as you can see, Carinodens' teeth are very, very weird for mosasaur teeth. They're sort of squashed from side to side like a typical mosasaur tooth, so they're almost blade-like. But they don't have any serrations on their carinae. They have quite a rough or rugose texture on the teeth, and the apexes, or the tips of the teeth, are usually blunted or even worn down, and that's because Carinodens used to feed on thin-shelled prey. Now this sounds quite similar to another mosasaur, another crushing mosasaur, known as Globidens, which potentially Carinodens is closely related to. Now don't let this image fool you, Globidens was much larger than Carinodens. The biggest Globidens we have could be up to 6 meters in length, while the largest Carinodens that we know of are probably about 3 meters in length. Now the much wider teeth in Globidens probably meant that Carinodens and Globidens probably didn't compete with each other, even though sometimes they're found in the same environments. Globidens, being a much larger mosasaur, probably went after much larger prey, such as giant 1 meter wide oysters and ammonites, while Carinodens went after smaller, thinner shelled prey, such as lobsters. Now, there are several species of Carinodens known from across its range. However, Morocco seems to be quite a hotspot for these animals. Now, in the last 15 years, there have been at least 2 species of Carinodens accepted coming from the famous Moroccan phosphates of the Cretaceous. Now, this includes Carinodens belgicus, which was probably the larger of the 2 species, and the slightly smaller gracile-jawed Carinodens minimalma. That was a pretty poor pronunciation. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I'm sorry, Carinodens, I'm so sorry. I've let the mosasaur down. However, as you can conveniently see, I'm actually hiding the name of a new species of Carinodens that was just recently described from the Moroccan phosphates of the Cretaceous period. That's right, we're introducing Carinodens acrodon. So this new species of Carinodens was just described just this year in 2025. Now yes, Carinodens acrodon seems to be very minimally complete with just having a maxilla and a dentary. However, in comparison to other specimens of Carinodens, this is actually quite complete. Now, yes, I know people will probably be raving about Carinodens palestinicus, however, the accessibility of that specimen is a bit iffy, so at the moment the best specimen that we have is this one right here. I mean, look at it, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. So like I mentioned before, Carinodens acrodon was found in the Moroccan phosphates of the Maastrichtian, so around about 70 to 66 million years ago. Now, as you probably guessed, it actually shared its environment with 2 other species of Carinodens, the 2 that I mentioned before, but not just that, it shared an environment with a whole host of other mosasaurs. I mean, yeah, seriously, look at that list. And by the way, that list isn't even complete to the number of mosasaurs that we know from the Moroccan phosphates. There's possibly up to 16, maybe even more species of mosasaurs known from the Moroccan phosphates. It's mental how these animals seem to coexist with each other at the same time in the same place. So the species name Carinodens acrodon actually refers to the shape of the teeth. The teeth are actually quite tall and quite pointed, which is unlike other species of Carinodens. And in the paper, they actually mentioned that this feature is actually quite a plesiomorphic feature, or sort of like a primitive feature, if you like. Now, you've heard me, that means that Carinodens acrodon, which is possibly a more primitive species than the other species of Carinodens that it shared its environment with, lived alongside its descendants, essentially, which just goes to show how possibly stable an environment like the Moroccan phosphates was in order to hold multiple species of not just Carinodens, but other mosasaurs. So particularly in Carinodens acrodon, there is actually a feature of the dentary, or the lower jaw, as you can see here, that differentiates it from other Carinodens species. And that's this sort of flange or flap you can see over the Macellian groove, which is sort of that groove there in the bottom of the jaw that actually contained cartilage in life. Now, this sort of overlapping probably meant that it overlapped and therefore there was less cartilage attaching to each other from the jaws, and therefore means it's got a weaker bite force, but I have no idea. I'm sort of just pulling ideas out of my you-know-what. And like I said earlier, Carinodens wasn't a very big mosasaur either. In fact, Carinodens acrodon seems to up the scale of Carinodens by about a metre or so. Yes, the largest specimen of acrodon probably measured about 4 metres, but isolated teeth referred to in this paper probably indicate animals of up to maybe 4.5 metres, maybe even bigger. Now this calls into question to why the later Carinodens species actually got smaller compared to the more primitive acrodon, and this probably means that it was more of an adaptation in order to coexist with the other much larger mosasaurs, and we're talking some mosasaurs that could be up to possibly 40 feet in length in the same environment as Carinodens acrodon. So the big question, does Carinodens acrodon help in the argument about if Xenodens is a juvenile Carinodens? Well, luckily, Nick Longrich actually posted on his blog some comparison images of Carinodens acrodon and Xenodens. Now, based on these photos, I can see some differences. Now, first of all, the premaxillary contact of the maxilla, which is basically just this margin down here just below me, that actually doesn't slope as steeply as it does in Xenodens, and in fact, there seems to be less angulature to it, if you get what I mean. Basically, this bit here, this sort of corner bit here on Xenodens, that isn't seen in Carinodens acrodon. Now, you can see this little point here, that's the end of the premaxillary contact of the maxilla, and this actually terminates a lot earlier in Carinodens acrodon than it does in Xenodens. Now, there's another additional difference that I wanted to point out on the sort of medial surface, the inside surface of the maxillary bones. Now, in Xenodens, there seems to be this little hole here, which is possibly a fenestre. I don't see that present in the acrodon specimen that you can see up above, unless it is actually lost in adult Carinodens, and therefore we could argue that, yeah, Xenodens or a juvenile Carinodens would actually have this more prominent hole in the side of the medial part of the maxilla. Now, you could say that I'm basically doing exactly what the Xenodens is a Carinodens juvenile paper was doing, and that's going off the photos, but unfortunately I don't have the funds, nor the time, nor the travel to actually go to these specimens and compare, so yes, I am being a bit of a hypocrite with that, but hey-ho, we need more specimens of Xenodens and Carinodens to sort out this problem. And luckily, with acrodon, we have that for Carinodens. We just need some more for Xenodens. That'd be a lot more helpful, yeah. Oh yeah. So, well, hey, we get a new species of Carinodens. That's absolutely fantastic, because I do feel like Carinodens specimens are quite understudied, and I think there's a lot of potential we can actually learn from this little fella. So I want to thank everybody for watching this video today. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you learned something new about this little friend. And please do go and look up this paper on the new Carinodens acrodon species. It's absolutely brilliantly well done, and it helps add to the information on why there are so many mosasaurs in the world at the end of the Cretaceous period, which we still don't know why, but hey-ho, it's exciting. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Ta-ta, bye.